All right, everybody, we are live. So thank you very much for joining us. There's actually two big news about Cybertruck that just got leaked right now. One is possibly its range. We've got some video or some images coming from Marcus Brownlee, and he's been testing the truck for about the last month. And he accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, showed a video of the battery and its range. And then we've got a video of watching the Cybertruck do some tight turns. We can talk about that. We can talk about the Cybertruck event that's coming up tomorrow. And then there's news about GM and their new buyback, which is ridiculous. And then, of course, there's also news about just the way that different analysts are thinking about the Cybertruck, whether or not this event is going to increase or decrease the stock. Welcome, Brian. We're doing a co-stream with you. How are you doing?
We're doing great. It's actually just a live stream on your side. I am not streaming here from Bastrop, Texas. We're hanging out at the Hyperloop Plaza.
So you're going to be physically attending the event in Austin. That's tomorrow. But in the meantime, why did you decide to go visit this? Tell me what this is. This
is the Hyperloop Plaza. This is where the Boring Company is, and you can see we've got some merch there behind us. We've got the not a flamethrower on the wall. We've got a little bodega. It's a community center for the neighbors of the Boring Tunnel.
Gotcha. Well, okay. We'll have fun. Take some photos. So let's get started with the big news. This came out just this morning, right? This is Marcus Brownlee. He is a major YouTuber. He has like 125 million followers on YouTube. He's right up there with Mr. Beast. And he apparently has been testing the Cybertruck for almost a month. So he released this photo. Now, the question is, would you release a photo without you checking carefully? But you see in the top right here, you can actually see the screen. So if you look closely, Dylan Loomis of Electrified, he take a look, says it says 265 miles of range. You better switch over to percentage real quick. Marcus replies, I have all the numbers and precious details with this video. He's about to release a video, of course, after the Cybertruck event comes out. So I don't know if he did this on purpose or not, but if you look really close, you can see here, it says 265 miles, and you can see the battery range here. Okay, so we can take an even closer look. It says 265 miles. Farzad thinks that, well, that's only 9. So if you add the 10th one, it's probably 295 miles at 100% charge. And then Matthew Donegan Ryan, he said that, this probably number one, this is a dual range motor hinted at that photo. And then he thinks that the battery is 9 out of 10 bars. So it's possible that each bar represents 30 miles of range. Maximum range is 300 miles. This is in line with the rumored 123 kilowatt hour battery pack. What are you thinking, Brian? What's your reaction when this is the first time you heard this, right?
This is the first time I'm hearing this. I'd seen the rumors. I'd seen some of the calculations. And I think Matthew's math is pretty spot on, I would believe. And I think 300 is certainly the target, but it's definitely disappointing because with a high nickel battery, you're only going to charge typically 20 to 80%. So reduce that amount by 40%. You're talking 180 miles of usable range in a given day if you're not going to go over 80 or under 20. And that's still perhaps optimistic, especially if you're doing any amount of highway driving. So, but I would say that this is probably going to be about comparable to what you're getting from a Model Y anyway. And I don't know if you've heard, but those sell in pretty good numbers.
Of course, they sell in big numbers. But so the question I have is like, is this a setup? I mean, Marcus is not going to take a photo and oops, I accidentally included that. He's been driving this for 30 days, a month. He knows how important this is. I think this is a setup. But this is DRK saying this, which I actually was thinking the same thing. A few people were suggesting this. You know how Elon doesn't just stick to 10, right? He likes to crank it up to 11.
This one goes to 11. It's one more, isn't it?
Yeah. What's that movie?
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap. You and I are old enough to remember Spinal Tap. Oh, yeah. And the whole thing about it was you can crank it up to 11, not to 10. And if it has 11 bars, this is 320 miles of range. I love it. That's exactly what. But even like you're right, even just 300 miles as well would be fine. And this would be the lower end. They're not going to give Marcus the highest end car, right?
Why not?
But I guess maybe. I mean, he is going to be doing a video about it. He's got like hundreds of millions of viewers. So people are
So
talking about.
I've reviewed cars for a living for a while, and every car they would give you, with very few exceptions, was the very top trim possible because they really want to wow you. So I would be surprised if they're
Except,
not
yeah,
giving him the best one that's available at the moment.
except the difference this time around is there's going to be secrets, and they need to be very tight. They don't want to have anybody know any secrets, and so they're just going to share that, the lowest end, hype that up. Yeah, I mean,
Very possible. Very
yeah,
possible.
265 miles, 300 miles. And so I think as a setup, I really do. It just feels like there's no way that Marcus made a mistake and showed the photo.
No, he's much too not just smart and professional, but he's been doing this sort of thing as a living his entire adult life. So no, he he doesn't. I'd be very surprised to hear that it was an accident that showed. The question is, what is the motivation behind it? And I think those answers we will find out in tomorrow, in
By
26
tomorrow.
short hours.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, like, we're all complaining about no advertising. Joe Rogan spent hours and, just goes on and on how incredible this is. He had Elon there showing their bulletproof. Now you got Marcus doing a video on this. These guys are big, and there's no doubt Mr. Beast will somehow get in the game as well, right? This is important. So this is going to be like pretty big. Somebody's asking here, what time is it tomorrow? I think it's 12.
It is
Central.
2 p.m. Central is the
2
event
p.m.
itself.
Central.
Doors open at, I think, noon or 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
What's
What's happening tomorrow?
tomorrow?
Cybertruck delivery event is happening tomorrow, and it looks as though the configurator may be going live shortly thereafter.
Yeah, we've seen some
Because
movement there, right? So
it's now a countdown clock.
the other potential leak is the turning radius. I don't know if you saw this, Brian.
I
Have you
did
seen
not.
this video?
I
You've
have
not
not.
seen this? So I think so. Take a look at this. This is the Cybertruck, of course, and let's watch the video. Pretty tight, eh? Pretty good.
Yeah, that's what, 3 H's, 4 H's? I don't know how big that is. It looks good though.
Yeah. And again, why would they release a video like this? I mean,
Was it them that released that video?
I don't know. I have no idea where this came from. But it's I mean, it looks pretty tight. I mean, so it clearly has the 4 wheels, right? Are you expecting anything, any kind of features of the 48 volt? What can that do for the truck? What's your opinion on that?
So the beauty of the 48 volt is it allows you to use thinner gauge of wire. That's why in the 1950s, car makers switched from 6 volt to 12 volt, is because the amount of copper you use dropped commensurately. And cars had, when cars first got batteries, it was just for the starter and the lights. And as time went on, they kept adding things, blinkers, brake lights, radios. And the more wires you have, the more weight it was adding. This switch from 12 volts to a higher voltage is long, long, long overdue. And it took someone big enough to force a change. And now I suspect we'll see other companies doing it as well. Because the wires that go in your car, they are quite thin, but now they're going to be using basically LAN cables because you can get power over LAN. And these are like network cables. And if you've ever cut into a phone line, you can see how incredibly thin gauge those are. And they can do it because the voltage is higher.
So one of the other things that leaked a few days ago, and I think this is true as well, in the UI of the actual Cybertruck screen, right? You can easily just pick a kind of, I guess, so you can just, first of all, because of the 48 volt, you can just plug things in. There's going to be plugs all over the car probably. And then you can say, I want to plug in the what do you call that? The top light?
Okay, the dome light?
No,
the light
top
bar.
The light bar. You can have the light bar, and you can have that connected to one of the outlets, and then you can configure a button in the screen that says turn it on, turn it off, or manage it. And so you can plug anything into that particular plug and then manage it on the screen. So that's kind of that's going to be amazing because you can put all sorts of different things here
Yeah.
and control it.
You
From
could
the
have your
screen.
own big mouth Billy Bass in the car and have that set to play anytime you hit the blinker. I love it.
Right. Oh my God! So this is going to be exciting. Have you met anybody yet as you're there? I mean, the party starts tomorrow, but have you started meeting folks?
So I was out at Giga Texas this morning at dawn to see Joe
Yeah.
Tegmeyer take
Yes.
his flight, and we met some great folks. A gentleman from the Czech Republic, another gentleman from Slovakia, and as
They
I was
flew
standing
in.
there, they
They
flew in
flew in.
for this event.
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and then a Cybertruck drove past us on the off ramp, unable to get a picture. Goes by very quickly. And Joe waved to the gentleman, and the gentleman did not wave back. Very rude, very rude. So I have seen a Cybertruck on the road, and if you look over into the parking around the site, you will see. I saw one also driving up near the entrance to the building on the west side there in the middle. Um, these are real, man. It's happening. All those
So yeah.
Tesla short historian has so many great videos of pictures of the Tesla Q just convinced this would never happen, and here we are.
Yeah, I should play that video. It's really nice. Of I can't remember who did it now. Autopilot from our Tesla Northwest group. He
Right?
took a video of all of these shorts, Tesla Cybertruck shorts. Took their tweets, put them all together in a video to show them. This is what you said at this time. It's really funny. I should try to show that today. But so you and I talked about this in the showrooms. There's 19 showrooms that actually have a Cybertruck in them, and the lineups were pretty amazing for many of these showrooms. And the buzz has been strong. And then but then we heard that they're only going to do 10. Do you think that that's still the case? And
Yeah.
would Elon tweet out and say Cybertruck deliveries happen on Thursday, even though
Yes.
it's just for employees? Would he just do that if these 10 are just for employees?
I haven't heard that the 10 are just for employees. This is a delivery ceremony. This isn't a
Correct.
logistic event. They're not
Right.
trying to get 1,000 units moved. This is just the kickoff saying, look, it's official. And I strongly suspect that at least some of those 10, if not all of those 10, will be going to customers because I think employee deliveries have already started.
You think what?
That employees have already taken delivery of theirs.
What
That
made you
they're
think that?
the ones we've seen in people's driveways.
Right.
Those
Well,
those
they're
those may
testing
not
it.
just be,
Correct.
they may not be
Might.
tests. They may actually
Yeah.
be deliveries, but we
I
don't
think there's
know.
way more. I think there's way more than we realize. I mean, you've got
Oh,
Marcus testing one out also, right? Then
right,
you saw Joe Tegmar, and he is famous because he goes and visits Giga Texas every 2 days, and he has a drone
right.
and he takes video of it, and he's been showing like the hundreds and hundreds of
Doesn't.
Giga casting for
Yes,
Tesla, dozens and dozens. So what do it's got to be more than just 10 by now,
of
right?
course, of course. But they're not going to deliver them at the event. These have
Right.
been being shipped out all over the country. We've seen them making dozens a week for months. Uh,
Yeah.
they are poised for imminent delivery. That's just what's happening.
All right, well that's us. We are the fans, and so let's listen to some of these CNBC people and what they've been saying. So, with their many years of product expertise, okay, zero experience, the media are laughing at Tesla and the Cybertruck. I wonder who's going to be laughing a year from now. This is Jeff Lutz saying this. Let's watch a short video of this guy, what he's saying.
Ask. So Dan,
Yeah.
what would you want to ask
So-
Elon Musk?
The kids call it the CT on the Twitter, okay? That's the Cybertruck.
Oh, okay.
The Twitter.
I think the Cybertruck is going to be the new Coke of EV launches. I think it's going to be the Apple Newton of EV launches. I think it might be the Edsel of EV launches. And I'm just saying, the kids on the Twitter are like talking about the CT like it's going to transform the story. This is going to be the thing for 2024. So I just don't think it's going to be that thing.
I mean, the manufacturing is going to be a beast, which he's talked about already on Twitter and in other venues. I mean, it's made out of stainless steel, which is much harder to shape and mold, apparently. Not that I have any experience personally with that, but versus regular commodity steel.
Yeah, DeLorean tried that, didn't work out well. This is what I would ask him. This time last year, you said that margins would contract, but you wouldn't get down to legacy automaker margins, and somewhere between 17 and 18%. Are you concerned with all the price cuts that it's going to eat into your margins? And if so, what are we looking at? That would be my question.
Quick take on the charts, Carter.
Yeah, well, Tesla kind of goes in the pair of twos category as well. It's the same level it was essentially 3 years ago. A lot of volatility, but it's not really progressing. And then as to that truck, I think it's cool until one day you walk into your garage, you go, my God, that thing's ugly. And you never drive it again.
Up next.
Boy, I thought I'd had some good jokes. These guys are off their rockers. So
The
as a
kids
kid
on the Twitter.
as a kid on the Twitter, sorry, I got it wrong.
The CT.
The CT on the DL. Come on, what are we doing here? I love it. These guys are so stainless is harder to form, but DeLorean tried it. No, DeLorean stamped stainless, and that was a nightmare. Don't stamp it. You just use a die break to fold it. That's why it's folded and not stamped. It shows a fundamental misunderstanding of not only manufacturing, not only material sciences, but also of the Twitter.
Sorry, I'm just downloading this video right now.
Okay. You got to save that one because that's going to age like milk.
Okay. So, So first of all, that is hilarious that they believe this, right? So I think it's beautiful. And then 5 minutes later, I'm going to just hate this thing. It's the complete opposite, right? That's what happened to all of us. We've been watching this for 4 years. It's been delayed for 4 years. When we first saw it, we thought, oh, it's ugly or it's different. But within a day for me, it was just a day for me. Some people had said it's a couple of weeks. Some people said it's a month. Now they love it. Why? Because it's iconic. It's like the pyramids. It's like so beautifully done, right? And this sculptor, did you see this? A sculptor took a very close look at the Cybertruck when he visited, and he's like a professional sculptor. And he said, this is not just triangle straight lines and that's it. There are curves. There's a curve to the windshield. There's a curve to the front hood. There's curves on the sides and all that. So these are slight kind of additions to this truck visual. But anyways, okay. So that's funny. I'm going to think it's ugly. If anything, what we're hearing from everybody is this thing is gorgeous, gorgeous. And then you hear the Edsel, and it's going to be a draw. How can it be when the pre-orders is over 2 million pre-orders now? How is this possible that that's what they still think that it could become?
Let's say it comes out and tomorrow we find out it's only 100 miles of range and it costs 100,000. Those 2 million reservations become a lot less meaningful in a hurry. Those are not likely. There are people who are still saying it looks like my kid designed it. But you know what? Art, I've heard people say the same thing about art. My kid could paint that. No, your kid couldn't. If you actually believe that, it shows that you don't understand design. And that's fine. A lot of people don't. It's not your job to understand design, but other people do. And when other designers look at it and say, this is showing some really insightful design inspiration, and then engineers look at it and say, look, I can see where the savings are. I can see why this is going to be profitable at a better price point with better everything, because it's designed from the ground up using a whole new philosophy that hasn't been employed on trucks like this before.
Okay, right. All of this can happen, but the chances of that is very, very low, right? So we've heard Elon talk quite a few times. He said that the Ford F-150 is a fantastic vehicle, except that it's priced too high. Why would he say that if this truck comes out priced too high? Now, it could be that he made that comment before things got out of hand and now they have to price the car higher. But the reality, more likely, is he already knew. And the fact that we have not yet heard the pricing is another kind of thing that they're likely to surprise. We'll see, right? I'm not sold on that, because it could be like the Apple's events, right? They show you the great product, they show the product, and then they hit you with the price at the end, and they're pretty high. But by that point, you're going up whatever it is. So it could still be high, but I just can't at this point.
Well, you also pay for some cool factor, and the F-150 doesn't deliver that. The F-150 is as boring as it can be, and you will pay a design premium. So between a Cybertruck and a F-150, if they're both electric, if they both have the exact same range, and they're both the same price, I would argue that most buyers would choose the Cybertruck. Even if it's 10,000 more, would choose the Cybertruck, because it's so different, so unique, And like you said, it's a bit iconic.
Well, it's also very polarizing, right? So there's people who love it, who can't, who need to get it because it is so different. I saw somebody write about that the fact that it's different is so important. But then there's going to be people who hate it, and there's haters. And so while we're still here, we saw the CNBC people. Let's watch this video by Autopilot. He did a great job collecting all these different tweets that people were very negative about the Cybertruck.
Looking around. Idiots remain. Spreading shit.
Cybertruck is vaporware, does not meet NHTSA's crumple zone requirements, will never be built. This is December 2021. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's like Cybertruck will never be authorized to be built because its edges and toughness are very dangerous for the people around it. New thing for Tesla, but there's plenty of regulation to comply when building a thing. Will be built right after the Semi, which means never. This is December 2021. Yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Where it's gone. Yeah, so
if they had dropped the word never, they'd have been correct. It was built just after the Semi. These are not engineers. These are not even armchair engineers. These are just haters who are convinced that they know something that well-paid professionals don't, and that doesn't always work out well.
Let's listen to this. Yeah.
Ford, GM, Chrysler, Dodge, Hammerlock on the best part of the entire market. I just think it's going to be a bit of a bust. But then there's also this Tesla, this Cybertruck. $100,000 for a Cybertruck. That I have a Maverick. Okay, apparently this does not have the payload of a Maverick, which fits in a small parking spot on any urban street in this country. I checked, and the durability of the metal is not there. I wonder whether this man can sell even 50,000 of the 200,000 Cybertrucks, and this may be Ford's era after all of the Sturm and Drang.
Okay, go for it, Brian.
So first of all, if you want to make easy money, just figure out whatever Kramer's doing and do the opposite. Because that guy, he is not paid for the quality. He's an entertainer, and he's very entertaining.
Yeah,
but I don't take investment advice from entertainers. Sell. No. So the metal is not strong enough. I mean, just right there, we just need to throw out everything else you said, because that is crazy talk.
Yeah. Yeah. So that goes on and on. So there's lots of haters. Now, the other thing is that there's actually some, decent people, or not decent, but some other folks on the other side that believes that this could be a big deal. John Ehrlichman is Bloomberg. He put together something. I'm going to just play a quick video of him. Not all of it, because most of his is just really just him
Cybertruck has been one of the
explaining
most
what's happening.
product launches since we got our first look at the prototype 4 years ago. A unique design coupled with a unique manufacturing process. And Elon Musk has been quite open about the production headaches that Tesla has had to work through to get to this point. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to new vehicle releases at Tesla, it's not uncommon to see small batches of vehicles released first. At Tesla's vehicle launch for the Model 3 in 2017, there were 30 vehicles, and they were all for Tesla employees. So at this point, it's really about the road ahead. And at this point, we do know about the demand. During Tesla's most recent earnings call, Elon Musk talked about demand being off the charts, with more than 1 million reservations so far. And some reports have suggested that number might be closer to 2 million. Now, even with that demand, Musk has had to temper expectations in the short term. In doing so, he cited the challenges in ramping up production volume. Okay, with that said, let's go through some of the numbers to watch with Cybertruck. Currently, a group of 12 analysts polled by Bloomberg are forecasting Tesla could deliver upwards of 78,000 Cybertrucks next year. Longer term, Musk has said that selling upwards of 250,000 vehicles a year is a reasonable expectation, but not before 2025. And in the short term, Musk has said the cost with the rollout could mean it's a year to 18 months before Cybertruck is a significant positive cash flow contributor to Tesla. And then the other factor for analysts to figure out here is revenue, which will ultimately depend on vehicle pricing. Landing on a price that is competitive with traditional pickup trucks is obviously important, although you could make the same argument when you're talking about automakers like GM and Ford, who are equally focused on selling their electric trucks. As for the potential Cybertruck customer base, Bloomberg did a survey of 3,500 Tesla owners who could be shopping for a vehicle in the next couple of years. And more than a third said they're already considering the Cybertruck. Now, for some, that raises the question, would Cybertruck Cybertruck cut into sales of Tesla's Model Y. But recall when the Model Y launched, there were some fears that that might cut into sales of the Model 3, and there was never any compelling evidence of that. Now, another big question is whether the Cybertruck can tap into fleet sales, which are a big part of the truck market. And while business owners might be reluctant at first, could this be like with Apple's iPhone, where customer demand ultimately influenced what businesses were buying at the expense of products like the BlackBerry? Meanwhile,
okay, so a little bit much more measured, right? He a lot of facts at the beginning, which is basically exactly what happened. But then he started mentioning a few things that I thought was pretty cool, right? That's that this is going to appeal to a bigger, broad. A third of people want to buy this. What did you get out of that little clip?
I was impressed with almost everything he said. That was a really good clip. His numbers seem reasonable. They're not crazy. They're not. They're within the range, I would say.
Right.
The fact that they're only delivering 10 today, or tomorrow, as we discussed, that's not a big deal. That's not any part of the issue. This isn't like the semi where they're going to deliver 30 and then we won't hear from it again for a year. That's crazy, and I'm very disappointed about that. But no, I think this is all correct. I think he's right that it could push what fleet buyers actually decide to buy. It can change the entire use case.
The fleet buyers, and I was asking a question at the Cyber Bowls space yesterday. When they do the delivery event, could they and when would they announce that, let's say, the police or the military? Because this is something that the police and the military are going to just eat up. They're going to be buying this by the droves, if not every single one of their vehicles will be like this. That's why he made a big deal that it's bulletproof.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know how. If you shoot at the glass, you're still going to go right through to the occupant home. So that's a byproduct of the rigid design. It's not the objective, and other calibers could still penetrate. But in any case, the bigger thing is when you go through the brush, you're not going to tear up your fenders on twigs, which I think is more important to a lot more people than resistance to bullets.
Okay. So while we just talked about the consumer and we talked about CNBC, we showed, at least Bloomberg reporting that pretty well straight out the kind of level playing field of that. There are analysts who is very, very bullish on this. So that's good news. And here's Wedbush. We know that, Dan Ives is very bullish. He actually put ahead a $310 price target ahead of the launch. Dan Ives said that outperform rating, historical moment for Tesla. The street is excited to see the formal vehicle launch featuring the dual motor trim and its top level tri-motor all-wheel drive. Expected to be 250,000 units by fiscal year 25. Yeah, so I mean, it's just the hype. Do you believe in the halo effect? So we saw the excitement at the showroom. Apparently, according to reports, again, this is just this is just anecdotal. We don't know how real this is, but people will come in because they want to see the truck, and then you would go and explore the other products, and you talk to people, and they'll tell you important info that you did not know about the Tesla cars, like the price or how it drives and so forth. It's like when I go to Apple Store and I'm checking out the new phone, I go and check out the watch and I check out the iPads. I go and I realize, oh my God, the iPad has become very, very thin now. And I wasn't even looking for the iPad. I was there to see the watch or the phone. What do you think about this halo effect idea? Yeah.
100%. I was in a showroom about a year ago, and a gentleman had come in to test drive the Plaid because he was just excited. And he ended up not getting the Plaid. He said, this is way too much car for me, but we're probably going to get a Y. He didn't go in looking for a Y. That's just, it's a more practical car. And at the time, the Plaid was still well over 100,000. And he went in to see the Halo car. And that was a much dimmer Halo than this one. And there will be a lot of people who go in who insist that they have to see it, have to understand it in person. For one of the two in the couple will find it too polarizing, and they will say, well, let's look at what else they got. And you cannot buy this kind of traffic to your showrooms. No amount of advertising will fill the showrooms with potential buyers. You could do massive giveaways where you're going to give away a single vehicle for every store, but then you don't get customers. You just get cheapskates. So that would, you got to fill the showroom with the right kinds of people.
And people want to take photos of it. They want to share it. There's a little features like the raise to lift. When you step into the car, it raises up. There's a light show that happens apparently. So all these things people want to share. And did you know that it can do that? It can do this. Okay. Cybertruck event by tomorrow. We're going to all see this now. But there's a bunch of other news that I wanted to cover with you as well. Did you know, this is again, this morning, did you know that FSD is going to start entering into China? Tesla's full self-driving. So there's a software version that's been released and it has the feature.
Interesting.
So you and I have talked quite a bit, a number of times. We know that there's been movement. There was 3 ministers from China just last week, especially after the visit of the president of China to visit San Francisco. Right after that, 3 ministers from China said that they're finalizing the guidelines for autonomous driving testing in China. So now FSD is coming there. It's also found in the release notes for Europe and Australia as well. So have you calculated what is the impact to just the fact that, FSD in China, people can now buy it just straight out, not robotaxi, just paying 12,000, whatever the price is over there. What's the impact? I mean, it's going to be pretty significant.
We'll have to wait and see how well it works. I know that if I lived in Seattle or Portland, my FSD experience would be the sort of thing where I would gladly pay for it. And I live in a small town where the training data makes it something I wouldn't pay any price for because it just doesn't work where I live. So we'll see how well it works. If it works, I mean, think of the total sales in China have to be close to 1 million, in excess of 1 million. And so figure even a 5% take rate, 50,000, even if they only subscribe at $100 a month, I mean, that's $5 million a month in extra revenue for free.
Margin. It's margin.
Yeah, pure margin. Margin. And so that's a worst case scenario. 5% take rate, $100. We know it's more than 1 million. We know all those figures are low. So it is, this will go back to, earlier you played a clip where the gentleman said, they said we'd never face legacy margins, but 17, 18%, that's pretty bad. No, it's not. That's a very good margin. I think Toyota just got back above 18. Mercedes is consistently around 20 to 23, but those are outliers. Most of the manufacturers are down in the 5 to 8% and happy about it range. So this is going to be more margin.
Well, FSD is going global. So it's currently in the US and in Canada. Now it's going to go to Europe. It's going to go to China. It's going to go to Australia. It's going to be turned on everywhere at this point. So I think it's a big moment for all of us. It's a big deal. And of course, we're all waiting for FSD version 12. And apparently your employees are now testing this out. So Elon confirmed just a few days ago and during the weekend that FSD version 12 is now in employees' hands. We're all waiting. So what's your thinking? That is the Cybertruck going to have FSD version 12? We'll find out tomorrow.
We'll find out tomorrow. I've got speculation exhaustion, and I'm ready to just hear the answers.
Okay, let's talk GM. So this morning there was news that GM is going to do a $10 billion buyback. They're going to boost their dividend. They reinstated their guidance after the UAW strike. So the strike's going to cost them $9.3 billion, even though they're so in addition to the 9.3, they're going to shell out 10 billion despite all their debt. They're going to do dividends. This just screams. And then they're going to cut their spending at robotaxi, and they're cutting, of course, their factories and their electric vehicles. And so while I'm cutting all of these electric vehicle plans, I'm going to go ahead and stuff our executive wallets and just boost the stock price. This is a financial kind of thing. So Jeff Lutz says GM took 2.2 billion. Oh, by the way, GM took loans from the government, 2.2 billion in federal government loans for the battery Ultium, which they then is just struggling with. And they have a portion of the 15.5 billion just transitioned to EV loan from August. They take these loans from the government and then they turn around and they do buybacks. So he says it's a short-term financial engineering while delaying the transition to EV autonomy. Sales and earnings per share declining. Seems like they're missing a critical window for electric vehicle especially when the Dems are in control of 2/3 of the branches of government. What's your reaction when you heard about this today?
Um, it's a head scratcher. It's dumb. It's incredibly short sighted and boneheaded. And to give now is not the time to be spending 10 billion on anything except the transition to what we know is going to be the drivetrain of the future. And any money you spend on anything else should be scrutinized. And to have a $10 billion stock buyback now, oh my gosh, Mary, you're leading GM into bankruptcy, and it matters. And I hope when it comes time for the inevitable bailout, that if this is what they're doing, I hope they don't get it. I would rather. I have never. Yeah, I've never thought I would say that. I thought I would say save them no matter what, but they're looting the company coffers for their own personal benefit, and it's ghoulish. And I think it's transparent, and I'm very saddened by it because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs.
So I'm going to try to show a let me just see if I can do this right now. An image of the price parity. I don't know if you saw this one. It's a price parity between what am I doing here? Here we go. Can you see my screen?
I cannot.
Hold on. Yeah, here we go. There we go. So hopefully you guys can see this. This is a report from Wall Street Journal. And basically you can see the, let me see if I can make that bigger while we're talking. So it's price parity between electric vehicle prices and the prices of can you see that? Yeah, there we go. Boom. Okay. So electric vehicle versus ICE cars. So ICE cars is the gray line. And you can see that the gray line is flat. And this is between 2022 to 2030 because you can't really reduce the prices anymore. They've basically done everything they can. But here in China, they're already at price parity now. In India, they're in price parity now. In Europe, they're in price parity like now. And it's actually the US. I'm sorry, guys. In the US, they say that it's going to happen next year, 2024. So I don't know about that, but this is crazy. And then you see how the lines, electric vehicle price costs will go down. It's all falling significantly. So we're already at price parity according to these research, and it's going to get unbelievable. So why would GM do this except for a temporary?
That's it. It's temporary. It's all about next quarter. And for next quarter, for tomorrow, this is the best thing you could do with $10 billion. And then we'll just let next quarter deal with itself. Maybe Mary's already headed for the exits, and this is how she pumps the stock so she can cash out the rest of her shares. Because all Wall Street cares about, it seems, is quarterly gains. You look at a lot of even some of the Tesla bulls on Wall Street, they were suggesting big stock buybacks. Well, the shares are cheap, buy them back. Right, but we need that money for other things, at the very least for a rainy day. And Elon was convinced there's still a looming recession. I disagreed, but I'm not disagreeing from any place of authority, so I don't know, and neither does he. But I can't fault someone for being cautious, but I can fault them for being greedy, and buybacks is nothing but greed.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, Cybertruck being launched, I just reported yesterday. If you look at the list, let me go ahead and say that today as well, because it's an interesting list. So when were the cars launched for Tesla? So the Roadster was in 2008, right? The Model S 4 years later, 2012. The Model X 3 years later, 2015. The Model 3 3 years later, 2018. The Model Y 2 years later, 2020. Since that time, the latest product release or vehicle release was just the Model 3 Highland. And I think you can consider that a release because they said 50% of the parts have been upgraded and changed. So that just happened a couple months ago. And then now we're going to have the Cybertruck. Now, it's true the Cybertruck was announced on November 2019. That's 4 years ago. But if you look at it based on this, 2023 and 2020 is only 3 years. And so they have a vehicle release every 3 years. And they've been very consistent about this. So,
and here's something to support
your
semi.
I forgot about the semi.
To support your claim, you could say the 3 update doesn't count as a new model, but it does have more than 50% new parts, which is more parts than were different from the 3 and Y. The 3 and Y didn't have 50% different parts. So if that counts, and it does, this counts.
Yeah, but what actually matters is whether or not you have a vehicle addressing a brand new segment, segment of the market, a TAM, and so every one of these represents a new market. And so now the Cybertruck is here. The point being that if you look at the stock and you look at the fundamentals of the company, right? It was just volumes of sales and margins and revenue. These things every 3 years they release a new product. And it sells and they succeed. The Model 3 is very, very successful. Now the Model 3 Highland is made even more successful. The Model Y is the best-selling vehicle in the world. Now you got the truck. Some people think it's going to be the Edsel. It's going to flop. But there's 2 million reservations. If they hit it right, this thing's going to go very, very well. And whenever that happens, the stock follows. And if you look at what happened to the stock after the Model 3 ramp, now the Model 3 ramp is different because at that point, people thought that the company might go under. Even Elon admitted that the company was about to go under. They could not do the production hell, actually build a real factory building a car at scale. But then the same people were saying the same thing about Model Y. And then after Model Y was released, stock skyrockets, right? So the same point here is like we're almost at that point where as you keep adding these new markets and addressing them and they show that they're successful, it wakes up the world. I want to mention, and I said this before, my brother, so I've been an investor in Tesla since 2012, and I've got 2 brothers and a sister, and all I ever talked about was Tesla every day, every year, 2012. My whole family, all my nieces and nephews, they know. But they don't care. They have no interest in Tesla. They didn't know. My brother, on his own, when he saw the Cybertruck presentation in 2019, he went and started investing, and he was now all in. And he said that it's because of the Cybertruck as a presentation. And so that kind of changed my mind because I usually say that product presentations do nothing to the stock. It almost never moves the stock on that daily basis, but it will over time because it attracts new investors. Like my brother's an example of that, who just was enthralled with the Cybertruck and goes, this is going to be a huge killer success.
Wow. Love to hear it. That's what the whole point is. And then the next, of course, will be in the next couple of years. We'll see the compact, and that will be the next big thing. And we're looking forward to seeing it. By the way, when we do end this show, I did want to mention that shortly thereafter, maybe 5-10 minutes thereafter, I'll be going live on my channel to give folks a guided tour of Hyperloop Plaza here in Bastrop, Texas, where the community center has been built in support of the Boring Tunnel Company employees.
That's a great idea. Okay, well, so let's remind folks when we get closer to that, but I just want to bring up the point that Elon has said that the Cybertruck is supposed to be the most technology advanced product, right? So this could be what's the word? The hero product. It's going to have the greatest features, right? It's going to be, hopefully that's what he said. That's what he said. It's going to be our greatest product ever. How do you interpret what he said when he said that?
I don't know. I think it's the start of something new, which is the greatly simplified design philosophy. I think the compact is not going to look like a Honda Civic or a Volkswagen Golf. It is going to be something new and different that is cheap to make, quick to build, goes out the door in a hurry, and sells like hotcakes. Yeah, because even if you may not care for the look, the utility alone is going to be enough to sell it.
And then this Cybertruck platform, right? They did say, didn't they? They showed that there's another vehicle, and then we're all anticipating it's going to be the Cyber van, correct? Is that what you're thinking too?
I don't have an opinion on that yet. I think it's too soon to say. The van market is so much smaller than the compact market, but it is. Elon has always said we're going to have something in every one of the key form factor categories. And I still believe, and we can discuss this on my live stream when we get to that point, is is the boring company is going to need a pod vehicle, a cyber van, to run through those tunnels to maximize throughput. And so I think that's definitely going to happen sooner than later. And certainly as boring tunnels start to scale up in Vegas and elsewhere, it's something that they will desperately need.
But why would Tesla build vehicles specifically for boring if that's all it is? Because it's going to be tiny numbers, right?
No. It wouldn't be just for that. But a van is what you would use as your boring pod.
Yeah. And what do you understand of modular when he said that's going to be modular? So I assume that meant that if you wanted to, because of the unbox process, you can create a 2-passenger vehicle, you can create a 4, a 6, a 10, 12. You just kind of expand it forward. Is that how you interpret that?
Yeah, I'm just I'm at a point of speculation exhaustion. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. And I think we might have better ideas after tomorrow.
Oh, we will. All right, it's a good place to end it. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate it. So tune into My Tesla Weekend on YouTube. He's going to do a live stream of the Boring Company's facilities.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Bye.